Hi, I'm Samantha here talking to Sergeant Bulch about the gun safety. Hi, how are you doing today?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So what's your position in the police force?
I've been with the West Norton Police Department for almost 30 years. I used to be a patrol sergeant, but currently I'm the administrative sergeant for the police department, and some of my duties include training. I conduct and set up all the training for the police department, including firearms. I'm also the quartermaster, and I do the scheduling and anything else they need me for, such as augmenting patrol during busy times.
Okay. And what's your experience in the firearms department?
I've been a firearms instructor for the police department for about 28 years. In order to become a firearms instructor for the police department, you have to attend some type of accredited program. I originally I was certified by the National Rifle Association to teach handgun, shotgun, basic rifle, and long-range rifle, and I've also been certified by the FBI to teach handgun, shotgun, rifle, and submachine gun. I was also on SWAT for 26 years, and I held several positions within that as an entry operator, and finally ended up as the sniper team leader. So I'm also a sniper instructor, a police sniper instructor as well. I've attended the FBI's basic, intermediate sniper schools, and also an advanced school through HSS International. I've been around firearms most of my life, both as a police officer and shooting competitively as well.
Oh, that's cool. So do you have any programs for anyone about gun safety?
We do. The National Rifle Association came up with a program called the Eddie Eagle program, which is a very simple program that we teach to the younger children, but they don't like to cram these programs down people's throats. So generally a school would ask us, parents can go to the school and say, we would like some type of gun safety program for the kids, and then the school would contact us, which they've done in the past, and then we would put on the Eddie Eagle program. And the Eddie Eagle program is a very simple program for younger people, and they essentially, it's three things that they teach: stop, don't touch, tell an adult. If they were to come upon a firearm, they stop, they don't touch the firearm, and they tell an adult. The program is a little bit more expanded on that, but that's the basic message that the Eddie Eagle program puts out to young people.
So just to clarify, the parents usually ask the school administrator for the training?
Correct. And then the school would have to ask us. We're not allowed to approach the school to try to force them to have some type of gun safety program.
Okay. And do you know how many of these programs that you've run before in the past?
Oh, several, sure. And it's mostly for the grade schools.
Okay. Do you have any other programs for just the community?
We could certainly set something up if the community would like some type of gun safety program, or just a seminar on on what the current laws are in the state of Pennsylvania. We would certainly be happy to set something up for you. They would have to come to us specifically and ask us what they would be looking for. But as for personal gun safety, we don't really have a program in place that we would go out to the community. The community would come to us and ask us what they would want, and then we could certainly set something up for them.
Oh, that's cool. So do you have any advice, since you don't have the program, do you have any advice for families that have guns in the house?
Oh, certainly. Myself, I had two daughters. They're grown up now, but I always had firearms in my house because I was a police officer. But even myself, I've always kept my firearms secured, locked up somewhere. Whether you have a gun safe or whether you have a small safe that's easily accessible. But the first key thing to gun safety at home is keeping your weapons secure, not just from children, but also if you would have guests or visitors in your home. You certainly wouldn't want your firearms laying around for somebody to pick them up. What we teach gun safety-wise to our officers is, if you treat every firearm as if it were loaded, then you wouldn't have an accident involving a shooting. So that's the key thing, is keeping your weapons secure. and treating every firearm as if it were loaded. If you need help securing the firearms, we have gun locks at our police station that we give out for free. Usually if you purchase a firearm, gun locks are given to you, but people lose them or misplace them. So if you ever needed a gun lock, you could certainly come down to our police station, or basically any police station, and they'll provide them to you for free.
Wow. So, since you're a firearms person, what's your daily routine in the force?
In reference to firearms,
Yes.
we don't really have a daily routine. Patrol sergeants are required to have an inspection of the officer's firearms, usually about once a month, to make sure everything is well. As part of our firearms training program within the police department, specifically by law, we're only required to qualify once a year, but we certainly take the officers out to the range more often than that, several times a year, not only just for qualifications, but we put them through shooting drills and things like that. But as for an everyday thing, we don't have an everyday type of procedure for our firearms.
Okay. And can you explain what the police do during the firearm training?
Oh, sure. Usually in the springtime, we do firearms qualifications. We have a firearms qualification course of fire that has to be approved by the state of Pennsylvania. And sometimes we mix that up a little bit so they don't become so familiar with the course of fire that it becomes second nature. But we try to put them into as realistic situations as possible to put a little bit of stress on them to mimic an actual shooting. So we put a little bit of stress on the officers. We run them through a qualification course. We do different types of shooting drills. We also shoot in dim light. We shoot in no light situations. And we set up sometimes we set up tactical courses where the officers will have to move and shoot as if they were in a real situation. So we try to make it as realistic as possible, yet still concentrate on safety. We don't want anybody hurt during training. That's the key issue. We don't make the training so difficult that somebody can get hurt, but we try to make it as interesting as possible and to put them in as many different scenarios as we can.
Okay. And so if an adult finds a gun just laying on the ground, should they follow the same rules as you tell the children, or are there different?
They can certainly, if they're not familiar with firearms, they can follow that same rule. Stop, don't touch, call the police. We can come down and we can gather the gun and render it safe. There are so many different styles of firearms out there, rifles, shotguns, pistols. Nobody knows every single style or every single firearm, but we're familiar with how to render them safe. So we can render the firearm safe, and if the officer doesn't know how to render the firearm safe, he's going to call somebody who's familiar with that firearm to render it safe. So that's an important thing too, is not immediately picking up the weapon. There's a reason why the weapon is out there in the first place as well. If it's out in the middle of a field, it could have been used in a crime. So your best bet is to not even touch the weapon and call the police, and we would come down and take care of it.
Okay. And so just to let everyone know, where can they go for more information about either the Eddie Eagle program or the gun locks or anything else?
You could certainly contact your local police department. We also have several gun shops in the area. We actually have two in our township, and there's one in Upper Merion. And from my experience, the people that work in these gun stores are usually very familiar with the firearms laws and all the different types of firearms out there. If you would want to purchase a firearm, in Pennsylvania, it's 21 years of age for a handgun, 18 years of age for a long gun such as a rifle or a shotgun. You do have to pass a background check in order to purchase a firearm. And in Pennsylvania, we do have, you can get a concealed permit to carry a firearm on you concealed. And that's simply just going down to the sheriff's office down at the courthouse and applying for it. What we recommend to people is if it's going to be your first purchase, although it's not required by law, get some type of training with the firearm. You can seek out, like you would get a personal trainer if you were going to a gym. it's the same thing. You can hire a personal trainer to teach you firearm safety and the safe handling of your specific firearm, how to disassemble it, reassemble it, how to load it, and how to shoot it. So there's basic things. So you can seek out personal instruction for that as well. That's what I would recommend for your first firearms purchase. Other than that, you can always stop at our police station. I'm happy to talk firearms with anybody for any length of time.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add for the community to know or anything?
No, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call at the West Norton Police Department or your local police department, such as Norristown or Upper Marion or East Norton. They all have firearms instructors the same as I am, and they're familiar with the gun laws.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Samantha, here talking to Sergeant Bolch about gun safety. Now back to our host.